Interestingly, in a data labeling center that I visited, one of the managers said this as a euphemism
Hmm.
that AI बच्चे की तरह है. I was like,
Very nice.
wow. Just
Hmm.
imagine the kind of insight that there is. AI बच्चे की तरह है.
And for our final story tonight, let us raise the curtains on humans in the loop. Here it is.
आपने बुलाया?
नेमा जी, आज अपने पेस्ट को क्या लेबल किया?
पेस्ट ही किए हैं.
इसको क्या किया?
वो पेस्ट नहीं है मैडम. मुहानी नहीं पहुंचाता है. हम आपको प्रेजेंटेशन के वक्त ही बताना चाहते थे. वो पेस्ट नहीं है. वो पत्ता जरूर खाता है पर पत्ते का सड़ा हुआ हिस्सा खाता है ताकि बाकी का पौधा ठीक रहे. हानि नहीं पहुंचाता है. एआई बच्चे की तरह है मैडम. उसको गलत सिखाएंगे तो गलत सीख जाएगा.
ऐसा है नेमा जी, क्लाइंट ने अगर बोला है कि ये पेस्ट है तो ये पेस्ट है. आपका काम है लेवल करना, बस उतना ही करिए, अपना दिमाग मत घुमाइए. यही बच्चे की तरह है, फलाना है, ढिमकाना है. आपको सच में लगता है कि यही एक बच्चा है? पूरा परिवार बसाने आ गया है यहाँ. जाइए, जाके अपना काम करिए.
A powerful scene which makes one think, what if the person teaching AI right now as we speak is a young mother in Jharkhand who refuses to call a living thing a pest? That single label, care versus compliance, might decide how machines see us. Humans in the Loop follows Nehma, an Adivasi woman who returns home, raises two kids, and takes a job labeling data for AI, where every tag is a moral choice. Written and directed by Aranya Sahay, the 72-minute Hindi Kurukh feature premiered at MAMI, traveled to festivals like IFFK, and now opens in select Indian theatres this September. Recently, Kiran Rao and Biju Toppo joined Humans in the Loop as executive producers alongside the original producer team, Mathivanan Rajendran, Shilpa Kumar, and Sarabhi Ravichandran. This is what Kiran now the executive producer, had to say. Deeply moving and thought provoking. A film that carries an important global message about technology, labor, and the risk of losing valuable knowledge systems. The film treats AI like a child and labelers like caregivers. Nehma's worm versus pest moment crystallizes the clash between lived knowledge and a manual, between indigenous ethics and algorithmic instruction. Behind shiny model demos is invisible ghost work in places like Jharkhand, often by women. When bias creeps into labels, it actually scales into products and power. The film asks not just can AI be fair, but whose fairness are we encoding? Tonight, a film that makes the invisible visible. Humans in the Loop is Aranya Sahay's debut feature. Born from months of field research and inspired by Karishma Mehrotra's reportage on women data annotators in small town India. Aranya, FTII trained, research first, and fiercely humane, frames AI as a child and the labelers as its caregivers. It's a tender, political, necessary gaze at how India's women are quietly shaping machine intelligence, one bounding box at a time. We, of course, are very, very lucky to have Aranya join us. He is, of course, going to be taking a little while getting the technicality right. He, of course, got the film bang on, but we are just trying to connect with him. So, till he is available with us, I have to tell you that we are going to be discussing a lot in terms of the journey that he took for such a poignant film that he's made, the lens that he has actually opened for all of us to go ahead and question a lot of the choices, a lot of the things that we are doing in daily lives, because AI has pretty much become a part of our lives. Well, Aranya Sahay, FTII trained, very deeply researched, a man who I believe, with his film Humans in the Loop, which is his debut film, has put across to the world that he comes across with a very nuanced narrative. And we are very, very happy and very excited to finally have Aranya Sahay on the show with us, who is going to explore this wonderful piece of cinema that he has put out there into the world, which has brought on some luminaries as executive producers, which I guess we will be talking to him about as well. Plus, it has genuinely made everyone sit up and think about what is the role of AI and maybe what is our role with AI. Welcome to the show, Aranya. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm very well. I've just reached Delhi, so which is why I'm in a cab trying to still talk and get on this
Don't
call.
worry, you're talking wonderfully well. We can hear you, and we are very excited and happy that that you are with us. And of course, we wish you all the best for that screening for which you have gone to Delhi for. And
Thank you.
the fact that before we get into the conversation of how the nuance of the film is, the narrative is, and all of those factors, because we have some time to explore all those facets. How does
Yeah.
it feel when you're actually going to be walking into a screening of your film? Of course, you've done it now a few times, but I think that's a wonderful place for us to start. We would love to know, what is that feeling? How did you feel the first time that happened?
The first time
Yeah.
that it happened, I've actually I've seen the apart from the edit where you happen to see the film at least 500 times. I think now in the distribution phase, I've seen it close to 120, 25 times, and
Right.
because because there's no star really in the film, and there's no
Sure.
star director. I'm a first time director, so the idea was to
You're a
kind of
star, man. Don't
show
worry about that, Aranya. You're a star in the making.
So the idea was to kind of show it as much as possible to reach a certain momentum to get to a theatrical. So this is a really nice question from that perspective, because I remember the first time that the film was screened was at Mumbai Film Festival in
Nice.
2024, October last year, and it was a small screen. It was a 100 seater. It was not a very big seater. It was packed. It was not like it was not packed, because
Hmm.
Mami is like that. All
Yep, yep, yep.
films certain uptake. But I was very, very nervous, because I was like, I didn't know, I hadn't tested on the general audience how it was going to feel like. I
Hmm.
knew there was a strength in the writing and there was a novelty in the idea that I was sure about, but I was not sure how the pacing of the film or the
Right.
certain stance that I've taken on AI will be received. But
Sure.
I mean, I think there was Ramesh Sippy, who's the director of Sholay, who had come
Yes.
unprompted for that screening, and
Nice.
at the end of the screening, he just came to me and he told me that I बहुत दिनों बाद एक ऐसी फिल्म देखी है जिसको जिसको देख के कुछ महसूस किया. And I was
Beautiful.
it just that has stayed with me significantly since then.
Wow. Wow. So, well, it would be right for me to ask you कि कितने आदमी थे?
कितने थे? 100 लोग थे.
Okay. Aranya, again, thank you so much for being with us. And here I mean, there are things where, have genuinely popped up in my head when I saw the trailer. Seen the glimpses of the film, and you've projected AI in the most beautiful, innocent narrative. So the first thing that I want to ask you is this, which is that most pop culture makes AI the villain, which is, things like coded bias, for example, Black Mirror.
Mm,
Then we
mm,
talk about Mission Impossible, the latest edition, which is Rogue Nation. It actually weaponizes algorithms. What you did,
yeah,
and I thought you did it very beautifully, you flipped the script in more ways than one. AI as a child, labelers
yeah,
as caregivers. So,
yeah.
why choose nurture over fear? Point one. And what new
Yes.
responsibilities does that place on the people raising AI?
That's a great question. Actually, I'm gonna talk about the larger ideas then. Um, that the larger thematics of what runs behind the film.
Hmm.
I'm a very deeply sci-fi geek, right? And
Right.
I there are a lot of questions that filmmakers like Denis Villeneuve through Arrival,
Mm-hmm.
or Kubrick in 2001, and a
Right.
lot of Nolan
Sure.
and many other films have asked, which are for all of humanity. So if you look at um, any organic life, so as to say, we are very fragile, right?
Yes.
Any organic life might be at the threat of getting of dying because of an asteroid hitting us,
Yeah.
of a nuclear war, or of just pralay ही आ जाए
Mm.
on planet.
Mm.
तो ऐसे में can the question a lot of times that I've thought about is that, is organic life a stepping stone to a civilization that can outlast and maybe spread to other parts, born on planet Earth but spread to other parts of the solar system,
Very
and then
interesting.
spread to other parts of the galaxy. So something
Mm.
that is born on planet Earth, it's we are limited by the flesh and bones that we have, but a sentient another sentient civilization, maybe it's not. So in
Sure.
that perspective, if AI is like an if AI could be an inheritor of all that belongs on earth, then we
Yeah.
are custodians, right? And if we are custodians, then the whole question is that, what are we passing on to this to another civilization that might be sentient at some point? um, are we are we passing on uh, just one perspective, which is the perspective of the global north, or is there a way that an Indian perspective or the perspective of the global south, so as to say,
Mm.
can
Mm.
come into AI and it can represent all of humanity, or at least a large part of it? That became the question. That became the moot question, because here is an Adivasi woman
Yeah.
trying to, uh, raise an AI child, in so as to say, but the conflict that happens is that she is having to teach it based on first world data, so it will
Mm.
never see through her perspective. You know, so that primarily is what the world. I think that should answer your question in a sense.
It does, and it does beautifully. And the fact that you've gone ahead and created almost such an interesting conversation with just that one little thought where you said that it needs to be patra banna chahiye shayad. I think maybe that's what you were trying to get at when you spoke about
Yeah,
AI. But
absolutely. And
yeah,
in
and
fact, the beautiful thing in your question itself, I think there's a lot of fear mongering from the perspective that there was a time in the 90s that the internet was also there were ideologically driven people who wanted to
mm,
make the internet for the betterment of humanity, right?
mm,
We are at that stage right now with AI.
yeah.
If business interests are the only thing that will drive AI, then we are headed towards disaster. As the 2020, the report 2027. I don't know if you've seen that report.
Mm, mm,
That one says. But if we are raising this in a community manner with the perspectives of all of humanity, then I think we are headed in a good place.
Interesting, Aranya, that actually you speak about that, because that was one thing that definitely came to mind, that with a film like this, you talked about, of course, the fact that one doesn't need to be only blinded by the commercial aspects of things and needs to be a little more responsible. I believe that's what you're trying to
Yeah.
portray, and that's what you're trying to convey through the narrative of the film. But did you feel that that was at the core of maybe when you were writing it out, especially for, let's say, the developer community, or the community which is completely ensconced in the ecosystem of AI? Did you want them to feel a certain sense of maybe change, or nothing at all? Did you have something in mind that you wanted to give at a subliminal
I think
message
I
level?
think there is a certain perspective that when we look at the Adivasi community across India, we think that there would be a certain disconnection with technology, etc. But it's not like that.
Hmm.
It's really not like that, because we don't realize how like 2015-16 has been a watershed moment in India,
Sure.
because because internet was cheap. It has penetrated into a significant part of the country. If
True.
I have to tell you, I would trek with Adivasi boys to find these locations that are in the
Hmm.
film, and
Hmm.
these boys were like 16, 17, and they were wearing Naruto t-shirts, right? They
Nice.
had Crocs, they were wearing Crocs. So it's not
Hmm.
like that penetration hasn't happened. Simultaneously, that this work is actually happening in Jharkhand. So I don't think, like, a lot of times we have to kind of check our own perceptions are stuck
Perception,
in
yes,
time.
correct. Hmm. Hi, Aranya, can you hear me? Because I believe I've lost you.
I
I
can hear you. Yeah,
go, there you are. Right, great. Sorry.
yeah.
You were saying. So, okay, which obviously then logically brings me to this follow up, which is that what was that one moment probably in Jharkhand that made this metaphor of AI as a child and labelers as parents click for you?
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about our own misnomers, and you're saying that, okay, let's shed light on that and move away from that. But what was it like for you, where this clicked for you?
Interestingly, in a data labeling center that I visited, one of the managers said this as a euphemism,
Hmm.
that AI बच्चे की तरह है. I was like,
Nice.
wow. Just
Hmm.
imagine the kind of insight that there is. AI बच्चे की तरह है, उन्होंने बोला. Even in
Nice.
Karishma's article, I think this is mentioned. The article from which we got the
From
premise.
which, yes, right.
Yeah, we got the premise. I think उन्होंने जब बोला ये AI बच्चे की तरह, I was like, what does this mean, right? When
Hmm.
you why is she saying that? So the whole thing is कि जब ये idea आया, premise आया कि यार let's make a film on an Adivasi woman interacting with AI, then we could have gone into a much darker space also, which was
Hmm.
content moderation and the not safe for community standards, that kind of labeling.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
मुझे ये लगा कि there is something more, and you can't waste this idea on violence, because violence is easy for cinema, but there is something larger that there is. So मैं gradually जब मैं research करने लगा, तो मुझे when that lady said that AI बच्चे की तरह है, I
Hmm.
was like, that's true. Why? And AI may or may not be like a child, but this process of data labeling is certainly like parenting. You know,
Hmm.
because what happens is that उस समय जब उन्होंने ये बात बोली, तो मुझे realize हुआ कि जो data labelers काम कर रहे हैं, where they are teaching an algorithm how to differentiate between a chair and a table, between
Hmm.
colors, between cars, between movement, is the same way that a human child is raised, or even an animal child is raised.
Sure.
And so then I was like, okay, if that is the case, then can you talk about AI disjointed from humanity altogether? You can't talk about it. So in
Hmm.
that sense, I was like, okay, is AI really a clean slate? Will it be really dispassionate in its application? And
Hmm.
the answer that came was, maybe it perhaps won't be, because it is born from us. right?
Yeah. Interesting.
It is born from its ancestors. So there was, just to conclude my thought, that there are two ideas in child rearing. One is that a child is born, when a child is born till the age of 5, whatever you teach it, that kind of amplifies in their life. But there's another idea that a child at the time of birth is born with almost 300 genetic patterns in their psyche. So when you kind of applies that idea to AI, the question that comes up is that AI a truly a clean slate, or is it born of the prejudices? Is it born of the strengths and knowledge systems of its ancestors, which is us? And if it is, then whose knowledge system is it being, is
Hmm.
it being imparted?
Very interesting, because that actually brings me to this thought, Aranya, that it's a simple thing, and I'm sure we all have heard these lines again and again. One being, of course, child is the father of man. The fact that never would people want to be like their parents, for example, to their own children. Probably want to evolve and teach them differently. So we use these terms and theories in everyday life, probably. Um, why I'm asking you this is because that particular scene from with where Nehma refuses to tag a worm as a pest. It's fairly unforgettable.
Yeah,
Now the point is that this is a slightly nuanced question. One is obviously the real aspect, which is that did it come from a real data manual or a field
yeah,
conversation, and
yeah,
what did you want the audiences to take away from it? This is one bit.
yeah,
But the other bit which I could take away from this was this,
yeah,
that through that very subtle scene and conversation, you were also being able to create the fact that AI is going ahead and shining a light on our own biases as the custodians, or for that matter, the givers of knowledge.
yeah.
Did I get that right, or have I failed
I,
completely and I should leave the class?
No, no, no. Should stay there because you are. I think it's perfectly. It's a perfectly well-rounded understanding of that scene.
Hmm.
I think for me, like personally, it comes from two things, right? When you're working with an idea like this,
Hmm.
AI is one part of it. The other part is the Adivasi perspective.
Hmm.
Now, the Adivasi perspective on a lot of things is that there is life, and this comes from my conversations with a lot of Adivasi women specifically,
Hmm.
where they have told me that when you walk on grass as a non-Adivasi, you feel like you're entitled to it, but as an Adivasi, I will say that I thank it, right? And
Yes.
from that perspective, if there is a certain kind of sentience in all of life, when an
Hmm.
Adivasi woman would be working with AI, the
Hmm.
fact that there is a deep seated belief that there's life in everything, she would begin to feel like there is life in this AI creature also, which we as a non Adivasi would may not, take. So if she begins to believe this, then she would like to raise it properly in the way that she knows how to see the world. But the
Hmm.
problem that arises is that there is a dichotomy here because she's having to train it on first world data, and because of
Yeah.
that, she is the biggest problem is that her perspective, वो कितना भी try कर ले, at the
Hmm.
end of it, she's a small part of a larger small
Hmm.
cog in a larger wheel, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And कितना भी वो try कर ले, she may not be able to succeed with teaching an algorithm how to see from an Adivasi perspective, from any other perspective which is non global north, so as to say.
Sure.
So all of those things are, I think, for me, were part of that.
So, okay, when we talk about the fact that success for a film, as far as you're concerned, I must, of course, please congratulate you on this, Aranya. The fact that it's made such a wonderful little roar. This piece of cinema that you produced, it's made a lot of people question a lot of things. It's brought in a lot of wonderful reactions. Kiran Rao, for that matter. We had just, before you joined us, we had actually quoted her, saying the fact that she's obviously become an executive producer now, of the film with you. So moments like those, I think, do you believe that they are victories for you? Or is it that with a debut film like this, you're looking at maybe larger aspects, like, let's say, policy change, let's say, a lot of things which, or at least starting a debate or a narrative or an entire voice for it to resonate in the ecosystem?
Absolutely. Like, I think I have my thrust from the beginning has been that this film needs to be seen by policymakers, which is what we have tried to do. We've just not kept it for cinephiles. We've just not kept it for tech folks. We've kept it for policymakers. We've shown the film extensively at India International Center.
Mm-hmm.
Many other we were part of a government of India AI panel, which was done at Habitat Center, and I showed the best clip there, the clip that you've seen. I think
Right.
the purpose of this is there is a larger idea here that we are at a time where it is either make or
Mm.
break for all of humanity. And especially a country like India. What is your perspective on AI? What is can you reflect your ideas in an AI which is primarily first world? I think all of that is urgent, and that's what I've been trying to do with an outreach with this film. Of course, there is an idea that with this film, it's a debut film. It'll help. Any film is you work as hard to make it a success because you want to make another film.
Sure.
But उससे ज़्यादा the film has resonated from the perspective that there is more than just being a film. There is a larger societal and a larger technological aspect. Like what is the what is the kind of future that you want to see,
Mm.
from that perspective, and where does India stand in it?
I would love, actually, Aranya, for you to share, maybe, since you just mentioned that you've shown it to different communities, you've shown it to organizations, talking about policies, etc., various factors. What is the kind of responses that you've probably received from, let's say, maybe the developer community, or for that matter, the large conglomerations which are using AI, and nothing wrong with it, in terms of progress, in terms of trying to advance a lot of things, maybe trying to make things easier? I would love for you to maybe share the reactions, the different reactions you've received.
They've been very interesting. They've been very, very
Hmm.
interesting because a lot of the problems that we've discussed in the film,
Hmm.
especially the AI art generator, the showing biases in the AI art generation,
Hmm.
are stuff of, I won't say they're stuff of the past, but a lot of that work has already happened. So a
Hmm.
lot of reaction that was as straight jacketed as that, we've dealt with these problems already. But a
Hmm.
lot of the more progressive conversation by in the tech fraternity was,
Hmm. Hmm.
and this I can tell you from a fact, because abhi we are going to show the film at the Gates Foundation. We are going to show the film at
Nice.
UNESCO in
Hmm.
the next 2 days, and there's
Congratulations, by the way, on that.
thank you, and this is all in prep of the theatrical that's happening right now. But
Sure.
what this does is that there is a deeply human aspect to technology which they really really responded to, which they
Nice.
said that technology is not just a faceless, brainless machine, brainless identity. There is a
Hmm.
deeply human and humane aspect to it, not just from the perspective of itself, but also from the perspective of its application. So
Hmm.
उस application में जैसे Google has this Google Cultures, I think Google Cultures or something is a
Right.
they have that subwing, and उसमें one of the conversations that happened was that how can we make it far more, how can they make these technologies far more approachable and far more diverse, क्योंकि अभी तो
Hmm.
क्या है कि हो सकता है AI being primarily trained on English, it's gonna lead to even further uh, divisions
Yes.
between people who know English and people who don't know English.
True. Okay. much of AI's foundation, well, rests on ghost work, invisible ghost work done by
Yeah,
women in Jharkhand. So
yeah,
this is important because since we've just spoken about, let's say, business houses, or for that matter, policymakers, or for that matter, like you mentioned, people who are ensconced in the system, what concrete change are you looking at, Aranya, for credits, pay, recognition? Would you like that India's AI ecosystem actually starts to adopt a lot of
yeah.
these factors in their regular methodology?
I think first and foremost for me, the most crucial thing is that I'm going to cite an example, right?
Yeah, please.
There's a anthropologist and a civil servant called Kumar Suresh Singh. He had written a book for Anthropological Survey of India. Chaliye.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, for Anthropological Survey of India, uh, called the People of India series. Right
Mm.
now, the
Mm.
People of India series is a state by state demarcation of all communities that live within that state.
Mm.
Now, if the government of India can digitize that and even feed it to the sort of open source places, I think it's going to lead to a lot more democratization of identity. Right? That's my
Sure.
primary outtake with this. The other is
Mm.
that we need to keep the film talks about identity. The film talks about things which are still not as hard as AI's usage in warfare or AI's
Yes.
usage in governance, right?
Right.
So, from these softer ideas, I do want to talk about uh, the more critical and the harder ideas of AI in these really difficult and really
Complex.
complex spaces. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you feel that there will be a dialogue post this post the film that you've made? Do you feel that there would be a certain amount of at least an openness, for that matter, for you to begin those dialogues, or for that matter, have those dialogues already started?
See, I would certainly hope so. Um, we've shown this to a considerable number of academicians, many anthropologists, many tech leaders, many film fraternity people, and very many policymakers. I think there's one thing that during the AI summit, the Prime Minister had also
Mm.
said about this, which is interesting. He spoke about the bias in the left and the right hand if you generate an image, you know,
Right.
and
Right.
the bias conversation is already there. My whole thrust is not to just highlight the bias conversation. My whole thrust is that
Very beautifully said, Aranya. I'm so sorry I'm interrupting you, but I have to
can
compliment
we
you on that.
can we really go into the nuance of how what India is? For example, if you look at it, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, which represents all of humanity,
Mm.
has that disk that represents all of humanity, which is floating in space, has
Sure.
perhaps 70 country songs from the US,
Yes.
but it has
Yes.
one rag. It has one or two ragas, as far as I know.
Yes.
And Hindustani classical or Carnatic music doesn't represent all of the music that is from India.
Yes. The rich
There are many,
musical culture. Yeah.
there are many folk cultures. There are many tribal and other marginalized communities who have beautiful music, and none of that is represented. So I hope
Mm.
that it can lead to like a significant furthering of diversity and um, inclusion of many identities which will not find a voice if not for conversations like these.
And I believe, Aranya, you've done a wonderful job in terms of starting this conversation, because the first thing, and I have to call this out, one of the things that definitely impacted me was the universality. That it was universal in terms of the messages that you were trying to put across. You were talking about not you were not talking about hate. You were not talking about aggression. You were talking about it from a point of view of the fact that, all right, let's take a step back and listen to the conversation that is taking place between people, and try to absorb as much as we can from it. So I have to say kudos to you for initiating that conversation through this film.
Thank you.
But I would also like to add,
Thank you.
you had mentioned the fact that
Yeah.
English being a language which is primarily obviously and obviously going ahead and talk from the AI point of view and all of that, would you feel that this film of yours and maybe will be able to impact at a universal level from the point of view of the fact that language is no barrier, or for that matter no other, those at least the thoughts are being embraced?
Sorry, your voice broke up. So I got the fact that you're saying that if not for can you repeat your question?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, Aranya, is this, that with a film like this, are you going to be obviously ecstatic with the fact that it actually hits a pulse at a universal level? Because all you're doing is initiating a conversation, albeit in a regional language, but your hope is probably for it to reach the ears of people who might not even get that language. Is that where you're going with this?
No, definitely. See, the thing is that the title might be in English, but the film is in Hindi, and some of it is in the songs in the film are from a language called Kurukh,
Kurukh,
uh,
yes.
which belong to the Oraon tribe in Jharkhand and in other parts of the country.
Hmm.
Uh, my whole the purpose of this outreach is that we want to show the film the final screening after doing the whole, wherever we have gone to Los Angeles to wherever we've been able to go. I want to do the last screening in the village in where we shot, and
Beautiful.
the reason for that is that I'm hoping that it can, where it started, the film can have as much impact as it did in Bangalore or Delhi. You know, so
Nice.
we can only try, but we don't know. You know, whether it'll
All
be
right.
whether
Yeah, I
it'll
mean,
be
yeah.
in that way.
Sorry, I was losing you
Can,
back and forth. Sorry. That's Yeah. Please continue. Now I can hear you. Yeah. Aranya. Yeah. I can hear
no,
you now.
I was just hoping try
Yeah.
that it. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes. Absolutely.
Hello.
Yes, Aranya. Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Yeah,
Yes.
can you hear me now?
Yeah. I can.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know I was just saying that one can only try whether the film is received in the way it is received in Bangalore or Delhi, but it's we are yet to test the water of taking it to really the deepest parts of the country, and I hope to in the next 2-3 months. I hope to do that.
We're wishing you all of the luck for that, Aranya. Very quickly, before I let you go, the aspect of
Yeah.
AI impacting cinema from the point of view of the technicality of things,
Oh yeah.
in
What a
terms
question.
of the fact that AI, like
Yeah.
VEO3, for that matter, various tools like Nano Banana, or various other aspects are very aggressively becoming a part of the conversation, replacing a lot of things, probably pushing the envelope from the point of view of ensuring that people are learning and trying to get as quickly as possible compliant with all
Yeah.
of these factors. So, how does that make you feel as a filmmaker? I want to understand it basically.
See, I'll tell you, I there's very conflicted views about this because a aspect of this is very significant, which is that previous works, how they are being tampered with AI. It's absolutely incorrigible. People
Yes.
can't do that because there is a creative energy of many people that goes into making a piece of art, and it's it can't be decided by one party कि इसको change करके इसका ending change कर देते हैं. वो तो absolutely for me it's incorrigible, right?
Hmm.
But the other part is there's another aspect which is very tricky, is that a lot of people are will lose their jobs. A lot of
Yes.
people who work in set design, etc., it's at great risk. The thing that happens, the positive that happens, but with a significant like fallout, the positive that happens is that smaller creators will be able to make this make films in much lesser money, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And it gives them a lot more control over uh, the material. When
Hmm.
that happens, then it may director gets at the center,
Hmm.
and it takes away a little bit of power from the larger studio system which is in place.
Hmm.
That I'm all for. Like I would also like to make. I want to make a superhero film next, right?
Nice.
And I want to make a. I want to make it in lesser than a certain budget because I know कि एक film के बाद you are not going to get like 100 crores or 50 crores. You'll get a small budget, but bigger than a little bigger than this than what I had
Sure.
at Humans in the Loop, and which was minuscule. Like if I begin to tell you, it was extremely difficult to make it in that budget. But uh, say we get a certain kind of budget which is not okay for a superhero film, then what is my
Hmm.
option? My options are that
Yeah.
I give enough time to working with these technologies which are generating images, especially which are great with fantasy kind of genres. And I work and I generate and I put actors in that, like I shoot green screen and I put those spaces to be generated in the background, right? Maybe
Yeah.
that can have a really positive impact. Putting the creators at the center stage, they can make things for much lesser money, but there is a significant fallout because there is a whole industry. People live their lives, earn their living by working in this industry. It's going to lead to a lot of job loss, and yeah, I'm very scared about that because it's not
Oh,
like
it is
an
scary.
industry can't run without. We can only run with writers and directors or producers.
And yes, it is scary, Aranya, and for the fact that we are all cognizant of that particular fact, I just hope that we can come together as a community to probably address that. Finally,
Right. Yeah.
um, that one change, that one challenge, if you could secure one, let's say a policy change and maybe a one industry practice change for data labeling work as a result of this film, what would that be, and who needs to move
I
first?
think inputs from data labelers to be taken a lot more in account. I think that's something that I would like to change.
Fair enough. Aranya, it has been a true pleasure. Wishing you all of the luck over the
Thank
next
you.
2-3 days. And I'm sure that you're going to be receiving a standing ovation every time you screen the film. All of our positive energy goes out to you. And I really
Thank
hope
you.
that you keep making this kind of nuanced cinema. And before I let you go, what are you going to call your superhero?
Sorry?
What are you going to call your superhero? You wanted to make a superhero
What am
film.
I gonna call my superhero film?
Yes.
It's gonna give away the whole film. But I'm gonna tell
Hell.
you it's a crow based idea. Like crows and how uh,
Ah, nice. Interesting.
they're related to our ancestors. That
Yes,
idea.
very interesting.
That.
Very interesting. Wow, that's fascinating. Well, we can't really wait to see that, honestly, Aranya, and wishing you all of the best. And I really
Thank
hope that your cinema keeps making the impact that you have already started to stir. Best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. And thank you so much for having me and bearing with this taxi ride.
No, we didn't really even understand. Are you talking about Robert De Niro? Oh,
Sorry?
are you talking about Robert De Niro or something? You
No, no, I'm
mentioned
saying thank you
taxi,
for
so I
having
thought.
me and bearing with this taxi ride. Oh, God. I get you now.
Go. Fair enough.
Okay.
And it's been a true pleasure.
True pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Well, that was Aranya Sahay, and somebody who has had, uh, well, a beautiful start to a journey. He has already started to raise questions through his art, and he has started to probably, yes, initiate the conversations which are very impactful and should be a part of our narrative as we keep moving forward. In theaters this September, Mumbai, 5th September in Sinopolis, Fun Republic, Andheri. In Delhi, it's 12th of September at Delight Cinemas. Curated runs across Kolkata, Bengaluru, Chennai, Thiruvananthapuram from 12th of September. See it, please, on a big screen and applaud this man's hard work. That's the one way we can do it. And all I have to say is sometimes changing a label changes the world. That brings up